couple of questions for you. I just want to follow up on something that Assemblyman Sherrill touched on with regards to lead. On the OLS discussion points that your office responded to, your agency responded to, on pages 35 to 36, DCA says that there's approximately 318,287 rental units that meet the criteria for lead-based inspection. As of 2022, 99,672 inspections have been reported. And one of the things it says is that DCA lacks data on municipal investigations and penalties. So does that mean you're relying upon municipalities to just do it themselves and there's no report back mechanism?
There is a report back mechanism. So yes, the municipalities have to actually conduct the inspections, right? We provided a lot of technical support through our Division of Codes and Standards and our Division of Housing and Community Resources, kind of both working in tandem. The municipalities were charged with actually conducting these inspections. What we actually stood up on our end, instead of this being all paper copies and then them just housing it somewhere, was we set up a digital system where they could just upload the information to us so that we can have it at the ready, be able to analyze that data, et cetera. Had a little bit of trouble with not just making sure everybody knew that that existed, but also gaining compliance. As you can imagine, municipalities range across the board from having a robust workforce to a very small workforce. And as we all know, with a small workforce, that means it's one more job for one more person to do. So what we noticed is we don't know if some of those folks have not actually conducted the inspections, and those inspection reports are just housed in somebody's drawer somewhere.
Right.
And so we've been making our way through all of the communities that we don't have that data from, and engaging with them to say, did you complete the actual inspections? If so, where is the information? Great, we need this uploaded here, or send it to us, we'll do it, whatever the case may be. But we're trying to get them to actually provide us with the data.
And is that inspection voluntary on the part of the municipalities, or is it something that DCA requires them to?
I believe it's actually the statute
Right.
that required it. Yes.
So it's not a voluntary thing.
It was not a voluntary thing.
Towns can ignore it. I mean, they
Correct.
can ignore it, but there is
Correct.
recourse, right?
Which is why we're trying to figure out, did you actually do it and just not provide the data?
Okay. And if
Where
they
is this?
haven't done it at all, what recourse is available to you?
That's one of the things we've been trying to figure out, because the statute did not actually make it clear how that was going to be enforced. So we're trying, that's where our Division of Codes and Standards has been coming into play a little bit. So Housing Community Resources has been trying to gather all the actual data and then working in tandem with Codes and Standards. And then Codes and Standards can kind of go in there and be like, hey, if you're not doing this, we're going to have to sit here in your codes office, that kind of stuff. So we're trying to gain compliance because we really don't have that stick.
Got it.
So we're trying to do it with communication and collaboration.
Okay. Very good. Housing a little bit. During the campaign, Governor Sherrill had talked about converting unused office parks, strip malls, industrial properties into housing. How many conversions or demolitions of those types have actually been approved or credited towards municipal housing calculations?
So we can double check to see if we would have that data, but I'm not sure we would have that data because they wouldn't have to tell us what the structure was previously.
Okay.
For their compliance.
Okay.
We could just look back through anything that we funded to see if we have funded such a project, because usually we get like a very good recap of what they're looking to do. So we can try to cobble some information together for you if that's helpful, but they wouldn't have to report to us that, oh, we repurposed this building or we tore down this, dilapidated structure and reconfigured it.
What about if NJ Homes is involved?
Yes, then definitely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So has that happened yet under NJ Homes? Or?
So NJ Homes just launched last year.
Okay.
So we just had our first cohort of 10 municipalities participate. So that just came through. So what we've been working through is giving them all the options, right?
Okay.
And that ranges from, do we repurpose underutilized properties? Do we maybe look at accessory dwelling units on fully built out plots? Do we maybe take like a very large home and convert it into a duplex? We're kind of giving everybody the full menu of options as to how they can achieve their affordable housing obligations. Governor Sherrill has made it abundantly clear that she wants to keep the garden in the Garden State, and we fully subscribe to that as well. We have worked with many communities that thought they would have to either use eminent domain or maybe take open space and repurpose it for housing. And we have made that abundantly clear that that's not what we're looking to do, and that's exactly what NJ Homes was designed for. It was designed to, as cheesy as it sounds, to allow communities to be the architects of their own housing design. So to your point, that's something that we're certainly encouraging through NJ Homes.
Okay.
We don't want to keep taking away our forests and our green space. We really do want people to utilize existing infrastructure, existing sewer. Are they located near transit areas? What makes these communities desirable in the first place is something that we're looking to.
So it's not the intent of NJ Homes then to sort of say, okay, you've got an empty office park or an underutilized strip mall in your town on whatever Main Street. It's been this way for 5 years. How about you just turn this into housing?
It is not the intent, but it is a suggestion. So the intent is to educate electeds and professionals about what they can be doing with the housing stock. We wanted people to have to be able to move away from a builder remedy, for example. We wanted them to understand what resources that they had at their disposal. We also have the technical support on our side to be able to help them deliver on that. So if they come to us, for example, and say, we've got this underutilized parcel, or if they say, we've got these obligations, can you help us identify the best location in our community to repurpose or to utilize, then we've done it. For example, I know it was in the news, right, in Cranberry when we were talking about that one farm.
Yeah.
As soon as we heard about that, our team went in. I will say that the electeds there were not only willing participants, but were actively looking for alternatives as well. And our Office of Local Planning Services whipped out a map and took a look at all of their plots. Housing and Mortgage Finance Agency also participated in those conversations, and we literally looked around to see what other viable alternatives there might be there. So that is a part of the conversation. We try not to dictate what communities should have. The whole point of NJ Homes is to have this open dialogue with communities to understand. So that way it's not just a one project that we're helping with technical support, but this is going to be a long-term engagement as to how they can plan for the future of their community long-term. And that is one of the tools that we offer. So we do provide the technical assistance, and then we also continue to engage with them. And should they actually say that's an area of interest, not only will our team help them with it, but we'll also provide the technical assistance to get it across the finish line.
So, and I believe you, right?
Yeah.
And you've been nothing but upstanding the entire time that I've interacted with you. So we're never going to hear a situation where somebody at NJ Homes says, here's a spot, you've got to use it.
No.
Okay, very good. Thank
No,
you.
it's not our place to dictate to people where they put the housing. It's technical assistance is trying to help them identify the highest and best uses around their community based on their needs. And I want to be really clear on that too.
Yeah.
Like, do you need ADA accessible units? Do you need
Right.
senior housing? Do you need starter homes for young professionals starting out? What is it that your community needs?
Okay, very good. And a specific budget question for you. On page D72, the local recreation improvement grants. In FY24, it was about 25 million. FY25, it was 19.9 million. FY26, it was adjusted down to 10 million, and it's now being recommended to be at 5 million. And this would, I guess, cut the grant awards from 150 down to 75. Now, I know that Green Acres money is DEP, so it's not really, right? But there is some overlap, I think, with some of the applications, and you guys are aware of some of this stuff that goes on, right?
So our applications are not just like for green space, they're actually for making sure that people can utilize outdoor space. So this was stood up in the wake of COVID when, you know, for people's mental health, it was so important for them to be able to get outside. And that's when we started looking around our communities and realizing that a lot of our parks were either dilapidated or really need a facelift so that people could actually utilize what the services were intended to do. And so that's really where it came from. I think it was originally funded out of some of like the State Fiscal Recovery Act dollars. And now it's kind of moved over into the state's budget, and that could also be a portion.
So have you seen a decline in applications for this program from towns?
That I would have to double check. I don't think there has been a decline in applications. I think this was just tough budget discussions. And you know, when we're facing where things need to be cut, I think that was one of the considerations.
Okay, and then the last question, you probably won't have the answer on hand, so if you can get it back to the chair, that'd be great. Direct state services lapses in your department. Do you know, like, what lapses at the end of the fiscal year, right? So do you know what you're on track for FY '26 at this point?
We could provide it. As you can imagine, it does change
Yeah.
week to week as we're winding down for certain awards and different grants that have come out of our system, making sure that they're actually spent down timely.
Yeah, and, well, because in FY '23, you had 3.7, '24, you had 2.6, but then FY '25, you had 11.7. So as we're sort of getting through this
Yeah.
last bit of couple weeks, just curious to
Yeah,
see what's
absolutely.
left out there.
So that was also because we stood up some new procedures for
Sure,
some
no,
of our.
and it
yeah,
happens, and I'm not
yeah.
saying you shouldn't have it, right? I'm just curious, as we all try to figure out what happens over the next 6 to 8 weeks.
It was actually not because of that. What I was trying to get at is, we put new systems in place for some of our inspections, so it was so much more efficient at recapturing things.
Got it,
There was a surplus.
got it. Okay.
Yes.
Very good. That's all I have. Thank you, Commissioner.